Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/entitled people. In today's episode, plant manager saw bag of food in fridge, thought the food fairies left it for her to pilfer. Well-off client tells me a week in her life must be a vacation for me. First shift had a potluck with our leftovers. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Plant manager saw bag of food in fridge, thought the food fairies left it for her to pilfer. This was 20 plus years ago, but I'll never forget it. I used to work in the office of a manufacturing plant. There was a group of us, for females, that would pitch in to buy lunch stuff to hold us through the week. We would make a list on Friday and one of us, usually me, would shop on Monday morning and bring it in with us. We even brought in a sandwich maker and toaster to keep us from getting bored. We had been doing this for months when suddenly the food wouldn't last through the week. The first time we chalked it up to us being hungrier than normal and moved on. By week 3, we decided that we just need to buy more stuff, and we did. But again, it ran out fast and we were really confused. One day I went to grab something from the break room and there are all our bags on the table and the plant manager making a ridiculously large sandwich. When I asked what she was doing, she said making a sandwich. I asked if anyone told her that she could make lunch from our stash. She said no and went on to say she found these bags of groceries and had been doing it for weeks. I let her know that the groceries were ours because we were trying to save money, but now we know why our food was running out so fast. She said she didn't know they were ours. She just thought someone bought them for everyone. I asked why she didn't find out who they belonged to first, and she looked at me like a deer in headlights. When I let my coworkers know, they were pissed. One of them said she knew they were our groceries because she had asked my coworker why she had so much food one day. We stopped the lunch group that week and started bringing food from home. A couple weeks later, the plant manager asked me where our groceries were. I let her know that we couldn't afford to keep feeding people that made more than we did. I worked in many different places but never encountered a person that ignorant about food in a refrigerator. I was blown away by her response. She was buddies with the owner, so she felt like she could do whatever she wanted. I love your response to her. She should have bought you all lunch to pay you back, but that would require her not being cheap. I was pissed that she had the nerve to keep looking for our food. This is like the story of the boss's daughter stealing other people's food at work, but she had a peanut allergy and ate a guy's Thai food. She had a reaction and had to go to the hospital, and the boss wanted the guy to pay her hospital bill. He didn't pay and quit the job. My company will fire people for stealing lunches. It was such a big problem that every cafeteria and fridge in the production area has cameras on it. Well-off client tells me a week in her life must be a vacation for me. I own a small gardening business and do a little bit of pet sitting in the winters. I enjoy spending time with dogs and it's a fun way to make some extra cash. I showed up to a new client's home to start a sitting gig. It was a week-long stay while her and her family went a few states away to visit friends. She rents a pretty nice waterfront apartment. It's modest, but the view is nice. The city, I live in a pretty major up-and-coming city and I own my condo. 2 stories, big backyard, attached garage. Nothing major, but I really like my life, my home, my business, and have a healthy relationship with my supporting husband. I do pretty well financially with my business, but it seems a lot of white-collar wealthy folk think blue-collar people must be poor. So my client is about to leave, and before she goes she says to me, "Hope you enjoy the stay. This must be a vacation for you compared to what you have." Watching your neurotic COVID dog in your partially unfurnished apartment, no couch, sat on a cushion on the living room floor, walking your dog 3 times a day, waking up to him puking on the bed next to my head, and being away from my own happy home with husband and 2 kitties? Yeah. A real vacation. ETA, who can guess whether she tipped or not? Spoiler, she didn't. I took the job through Rover and they take 20%. I went the extra mile too, took the dog to cool dog parks it hadn't been to, went for extra long walks, it was only 2 and had a lot of energy, cleaned the house spotless and washed my own sheets before they came back. Also, literally had to clean the mattress because the dog puked on it. Client neglected to mention he might do this because he has separation anxiety. It's that I think anyone has to tip, but, of course, she didn't. Another ETA. About the tipping, because what I said about tipping was controversial. I see why, and I personally believe people should get paid what they're worth without a tip. Just doesn't always happen here in the US. This client explicitly told me beforehand that she always tips before I took the job. My rates were low on Rover because I didn't have ratings yet and I want to build them. I pet sit on my own in the past but was new to Rover because a lot of people use it. I didn't assume a tip, but it was a more incentive to take her job. She did come home late the night before the job was to end. So late that I had to stay up for her a few hours past when I normally go to bed. The job was supposed to end early the next morning. She told me that me getting to leave early was my tip. The job costs the same whether I leave late at night or early morning, also, would have preferred the sleep. I do agree that tipping shouldn't be a thing and people should just get what they deserve for the job they work. Now that I have ratings, I am going to set my rate higher this winter to account for that 20% I lose with my current lower rate. Let's see if people are willing to pay that much. I owned a cleaning service in the same wealthy area I lived in. My husband owned a contracting business. We did exceptionally well. Anytime I would go interview a potential client and they were surprised that I could live in the same luxury enclave that they did, I would immediately end the interview and explain that they weren't going to be a good fit for my client base. That's great you do that, and I'm sure you didn't struggle to get good clients. I just started working for myself 2 years ago, and learning to spot who not to work for has been a big part of it all. Unless she pays really well, I would never pet sit for her again. Agreed, and I never will. I wonder what she thought my life was if she believed a week in her shoes would be just a dream for me. When she gets back, say, I hope you had a good time, I hope that you could afford a nice place to stay, since you can't seem to afford any decent furniture in your place. Hurt people, hurt people. And she is so far up her own as she can't see in front of herself how rude she is. I would have just smiled and said nothing. Never give them the reaction they want. My mom has a gorgeous home in Florida. I work in a support role for an accounting firm. A new partner I work with, he is so wrapped up in himself and thinks we are all beneath him. He asked if my mom lived in a trailer park, basically calling me white trash. I just smiled and said no, it's a gorgeous home, and left it at that. First shift had a potluck with our leftovers. When I worked at the airport, we always had potlucks. Just about every one of them had a horror story, but this one took the cake, literally. We worked a second shift and everyone participated. We had so much food that we decided that we were just going to keep it for the next day as well. We packed everything up, put it in the fridge, locked up and left. I had a soda that I bought and didn't drink, so I threw that in the fridge as well. The next day, I go on my first break and wanted my soda. It was gone. I started looking through the fridge to see if someone moved it, and I noticed that some of our containers were also missing. I check what's left and most of the food is gone from the containers that are still there. I let the supervisor know and she said to post a notice about not taking food that doesn't belong to you. I did. Came back at lunch and someone left a response. They wrote that food left in the fridge was fair game. I took it to my supervisor. She talked to the morning supervisor. One of the first shift girls had seen the food and started serving herself, the others followed her. When she saw the note, she was mad that we were upset our food was gone and decided to respond. What she didn't expect was the supervisor to go back and watch the tape to see who did what. She was then called in and reprimanded for her retaliation on the note, and the morning supervisor ordered pizza to make up for her people eating our food. Perfect ending. The instigator got a write-up. Everyone now knows there are security tapes, and that fridge food is not fair game. It was good of the morning supervisor to get pizza for your shift. I'm glad your supervisors had your backs. These entitled people who think food left in a fridge at work is fair game are going to be shitting their brains out when I add some laxatives. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.